Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to check the video out. And we have an information-packed deal for you guys today because we're going to talk about every size of swim bait, the megabass mag draft that Megabass makes. We got 4 different sizes here: 10-inch, 8-inch, 6-inch, and 5-inch. And I'm going to go over each one of these particular different sizes and describe the situations they work best in. And I really wanted to do this video right now because we're coming up on prime mag draft season. In my opinion, March, April, and May are the 3 best months to fish the megabass mag draft. It's an incredible bait. If you guys haven't fished it before, it's definitely one of the funnest baits you'll ever fish. So we're going to get into that in today's video. And also, guys, I will link these in my tackle warehouse description if you guys want to pick up some mag drafts. The 5-inch that just came out, really popular. It's been sold out almost immediately. You can go ahead and put your order in, and the back orders will get it shipped to you when they get in there. So we'll get into that. And also, guys, before we get started on the video, just a quick reminder, I'd like to invite everybody to please consider subscribing here at Intuitive Angling. Free and easy to do so. We're really working hard to try to get to 150,000 subscribers, and really appreciate your support there. Okay, guys, we're going to go through each one of these. I'm going to start out with the big one, work our way down to the little one, and sort of describe to you the success I've had on each one of these in terms of conditions and where you want to throw them at and what your expectations are a little bit for it. So the first one, let's talk about the one that probably gets fished least in anything. This is the big 10-inch megabass mag draft. And for a size comparison, here's the 5-incher compared to it. This is a big chunk of plastic, guys. This thing probably weighs 5 or 6 ounces, 10 inches long. Thing looks freaking incredible in the water, guys. When this thing goes through the water, you got that head, like on all the megabass ones, you got the head shaking like that, and you got this big wagging tail. But guys, this is a big fish lure. I mean, you're not going to get a lot of bites on it. Oliver and I, the big bass expert, he's the one that really clued me in on this. Oliver's got some big ones on this thing. But the thing about it, when you throw the big 10-inch one, you got to have some specialized equipment, and you got to have some expectations. First of all, this thing is so big that you can't even, it's a flipping stick is too light for it. You need to have a heavy action 8-foot rod. I'll link some of my favorite rods in the description here. Normally 25 to 30 pound test. I use the Seagar and Vizex line, 25 pound test most of the time. You don't want to use braid on this thing because normally you're fishing in clear water and you don't want that braid coming off the front. So 25 to 30 pound line for the most part. And like all the megabass swim baits, this is the key on it, guys. You want to reel them just slow enough to get that tail wagging. It's like if you reel a mag draft too fast, it'll run to the side a little bit, it'll blow out. So the key on a mag draft is to throw it out there, keep your rod tip low to the water, and just crank it just fast enough, to get that tail wagging. Just run it by the boat and look at it to see how fast you got to reel it. And that's when they hammer it the best. Occasionally I'll do a little half turn like that to just give it a little bit of action, but the nice slow retrieve with that. And also, if you're not familiar with, guys, the hooking system on this thing, you got a magnet in here that actually, holds the treble hook against the body, and you've got a slit that you put one of the barbs in, so it hangs like that, so it stays out of view. And guys, you don't hardly ever miss one when they hit that. They get those 2 bottom hooks, usually in the right and the upper lip. But for the big one, here's the thing about it. It's you got to have everything perfect. You got to have the right weather conditions and the right fishing conditions. You have got to have clouds and wind for that big one to work. If you don't have clouds and wind, you're not going to catch many fish on them. And that is the best conditions for all the mag draft swim baits. Cloudy and windy are the best conditions by far. As well with the water clarity in all of them. These are baits that you want to use in water visibility between 2.5 foot and greater. Ideally, the perfect water visibility for me for a mag draft swim bait is about 3 to 5 foot of visibility. Same with the big one. Now with the big one, it's all about putting this thing around where the big fish live. The big fish is going to, during the springtime of the year, are going to be over deeper water and on those areas that are a little bit more vertical structure. So therefore, on the big mag draft, I like to throw it around main lake and secondary points, on steep banks, anywhere you've got maybe some submergent timber, anywhere where the fish can come up on the bait, because this is the bait that you want to keep high in the water column, and you want those fish to be able to come up on it. You don't want the fish to come horizontal on it. So therefore, I like to fish it over a little bit deeper water conditions. But overall, guys, I don't fish the big 10-inch one much because I'm a tournament angler. For tournament fishing, it can get you a kicker, but it's a low percentage area. This is like a trophy bass lure if you want to get that. Now the next one, guys, here's the 8-inch mag draft. Now this again, you're going to get more bites on it, but it's still a very large bait compared to the 10-inch. And the 8-incher has had significant tournament success. It's small enough to where you can get 2-pound bass to hit it, but you can also get 10-pound bass to hit it. And it's sort of the same thing. It's like the areas that I fish the 8-inch in, the 8 and 10-inch are a lot different than the 5 and the 6-inch. But the 8-inch, I fish it in the same type of areas. You know, the points, steeper banks, you know, deeper water, same type of conditions, windy, cloudy conditions, 25-pound test Seagarn Vizex. I'll usually throw the 8-inch on a flipping stick. It's light enough to throw it on a flipping stick. But the difference between the 8 and 10-inch is you're going to get more bites on the 8-inch. You may not get those giant fish like you will on the 10, but let's say, for example, if you throw both of these all day long in a perfect condition, you may get 3 bites all day long on the 10-inch, and you may get 7 or 8 bites on the 8-inch. That's sort of the difference with it. Now, these are the 2 sizes that I throw the least. I mean, I throw the 8-inch a lot more than the 10-inch, but these are my 2 that I do throw the least. But a lot of people, that's their favorite deal, that 8-inch was. Okay, the next one is the one everybody throws. This is the most popular model. This is the 6-inch megabass mag draft. Right up against, this is the little new 5-incher next to it there. The 6-inch is a very versatile bait. The thing that makes this bait so good is the size and the profile of it. It's appealing to all sizes of fish. I've caught a ton of 1.5-pound bass on this, and I've also caught 7-pound bass on it. Even though it's a smaller version, it's still a pretty good chunk of plastic as far as the length and diameter. So it's a big bass lure. Now, the 6-inch mag draft, the difference between where I fish it, I throw it more around targets. So a 6-inch mag draft is really good to fish down the same type of structures you'd throw a spinner bait on a crankbait around. I'll throw it next to a boat dock. I'll throw it next to a lay down tree. I'll throw it next to a flooded bush, next to a stump, on bare rocky banks, but it's a really good target bait. The situation that I have found with the mag draft, the 6-inch and more than anything else, is that bass love to ambush this thing. So I always usually want to throw it in and around some shady areas next to some type of cover. It seems like I get a lot of bites with that. The only time that I can get bites on it just in open water is, again, like we talked about, cloudy, windy day. If you got a situation where you've got some water visibility of 3 to 5 foot and you've got a 10 to 15 mile an hour south wind, overcast skies, it's raining, you can catch them just going down an open bank with it. But I definitely prefer fishing it around cover. But this, you can't go wrong with this. Most of the time, I'll fish this on 15-pound test Seagarn Vizex with that megabass perfect pitch, 7'2" medium heavy rod with it. And the next one, guys, and be honest, I haven't got any experience with this yet. I've just thrown it to look at it, but it's brand new. It's this little 5-inch megabass mag draft. Now this thing is going to be freaking deadly. I cannot wait for that water temperature to warm up in the 50s to start throwing this thing. I can already tell you without even, I have not caught a fish on this yet because they're brand new, but I have fished enough to know when I see a lure in the water, I can pretty much gauge how effective it's going to be. This little 5-inch one, guys, this is going to be probably the most popular lure in the country over the next year. It's going to be the same thing as the 5-inch. It's going to be fishing same conditions, next to objects, next to targets, open water. The thing about the 5-inch one, it may expand out a little bit beyond the conditions. So you might be able to catch fish on this thing under a sunny day or partly cloudy day with less wind, because those finicky fish will go for this since it is smaller. But even though it is small compared to the other megabass, it's still a pretty good sized lure. 5-inch long lure is not a little bitty lure. So I cannot wait to throw this thing, but it's worth it to have all of them. The megabass mag draft is arguably the most effective, the best selling swim bait in the country right now. And there's a time and place for every one of those. So if you like catching them on a swim bait, if you've never caught one on a swim bait, these are very user friendly. They're already rigged up. You don't have to jack with a line through or nothing on it. Tie them on, fish them, ready to go. You don't have to do anything special. You just reel them in. And the bite on it is so fun, guys. If you've never caught a fish on a mag draft, you'll throw that thing out there and you're reeling it in, and it's like when you reel it in, most of the time it's just like boom, your line just jumps like that, and they just load up on it. It's a really, really fun bite. So anyway, guys, I'll link all these in the description of the video here if you want to pick up one, and we'll check in later.